Okay, we're on day 10 for math. Let's see. Your first problem is called dueling candidates. It's really just a short word problem that I need you guys to read through. And really, you guys just need to provide an explanation regarding who you think would win this election. So you have Joel and you have Marissa. So I want you guys to read through it and just provide me an explanation. What I would like you guys to do is email it to me. Here's my email address. Email me your responses, and I'm going to take some of those responses and I will post a video tomorrow, and we will discuss some of the answers that I received and see what you guys can come up with. So your next problem is another multiple representations. They are giving you guys your table. Okay, and then these would be your X values. These would be your Y values. You guys would graph them on the graph they give you. Again, label your graph. You have X, Y. I need your equation. Remember, your equation should be y equals kx. You need to be able to find your constant before you can provide this equation for me. And then how do we find the constant? Your constant is going to equal y divided by x. And you're explaining in words your proportional relationship. So your next page, we have percent problems using proportions. So your first one we have 50 is 20% of what number? So this goes back to, and they have this information here for you guys, part over whole is going to equal your percent over 100. So your first one, we have 50 is 20% of what number? So I'm going to write part over whole, so I can see that. Okay, and we've also talked about part over whole is similar. We've talked about is, the word is, over the word of. It's another one you guys can remember. Okay, so let's look at 50 is 20% of what number? I'm gonna move this. Okay, so I'm going to start with the 20%. You guys can write 20% as a fraction. So we would have 20 over 100. This equals my 20%. And that has to be proportional to, we have 50 is. So up here again, look, see how is going to be your part. So 50 is part of what number? We don't know what number. So we're just going to use X. So again, this is for your first one. So our diagonals should equal each other. So let's do our first diagonal we have going this way. Okay, so we have 50 times 100 is proportional, so it should equal this other diagonal, 20 times X. So 50 times 100 is going to give us 5,000. And that equals, well, 20 times X is just 20X. And now you guys just have a one-step equation. So again, this is your coefficient, this is your variable. This is multiplying. How do we undo multiplication? We need to divide. We're going to divide by the coefficient, which is 20. You need to do that on both sides. So 50 divided by 200 I'm sorry, 5,000 divided by 20 gives us 250. So this right here is going to equal 250. And then 20 divided by 20 we know is just 1. And we don't write 1x, we just write x. Okay, so we're saying x equals 250. So you guys should, with this information, go back up here to your original proportion that you set up. Okay, if x is 250, then 250 times 20, let's check that. If this is, let's do 250 times 20, okay, should equal this diagonal, which is 50 times 100. Well, does that work? 250 times 20 is going to give me 5,000. Okay, and we already know that 50 times 100 is 5,000. Okay, do these equal? Yes. So you guys know this is correct. And that would be for number 1. So I'll do number 2, and then that's all. I think you guys can do the rest by yourself. So number 2, we have what number is 70% of 250? Okay, so again, I'm going to start with the 70%. That's always an easy proportion to start with, because we know that's just going to be 70 over 100. Okay. That's your 70%. So we wrote that one. So we have what number is, remember, we write is over of. So we have what number is. Well, I don't know what the number is, so I'm going to use my variable. So what number is 70%? We wrote the 70% of 250. Of is the whole thing, so of is going to go on the bottom. And again, look at that word of 250. So of, again, is on the bottom. Okay, so we would solve this the same way. Cross multiply. So these 70 times 250 should be equal, proportional to your other diagonal. 100 times x. So multiply 70 times 250. It's going to get a 17,500. And that needs to equal 100 x. So again, you guys have a one-step equation now. I don't want to know what 100x is equal. I need to know what 1x equals. So get rid of this 100. So you're going to undo the multiplication by dividing. And you need to divide by the 100 on both sides. So divide this. 17,500 divided by 100 is going to give me 175. And 100 divided by 100 is just x. So again, you guys should now use this value, your x value, substitute it back up here to make sure you are correct. So let's see. If 175 equals x, then that means 175, your x value, times 100 should equal this other diagonal, 70 times 250. Well, 175 times 100 is going to give me 1,000 or 17,500. And you guys already multiplied these two over here. And we know that that equals 17,500. So these are correct. Okay, so that's number 2. So I did number 1 for you. I did number 2 with you. So you guys should be able to do the rest of these. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Same way. Set up your proportions. And your last one, we're dividing fractions. So you have 25, negative 25/28 divided by 5/4. So as far as your strategy, the only strategy we've used with dividing fractions is, remember, dividing a fraction really means you are multiplying by the reciprocal. So you guys have 25 over 28. Okay. This changes to multiplication. So I'm just going to use my dot. So if you're changing this to multiplication, remember you have to use the reciprocal of this fraction. So instead of 5 over 4, you have 4 over 5. So remember, this fraction stays the same. Okay. We're changing the division to multiplication. Okay. And the last step would be to use the reciprocal of this fraction. So 5 over 4, the reciprocal would be 4 over 5. Now you guys can just multiply your fraction. You could cross cancel here if you're comfortable with cross canceling. You could even cross cancel here if you're comfortable with cross canceling. That would be less simplifying when you're done with your multiplication. Okay? Strategy, a model or visual. Write me a story or just a few sentences how you could describe this as a word problem. And then how do you know you're correct? Again, you guys should be just double checking your work. And that's it for day 10, you guys. So again, for your dueling candidates problem, I would like you guys to just come up with an explanation. Just give me a few sentences. You guys don't have to write and write and write. Give me a few sentences. Who do you think is going to win this election? And then email it to me. Okay, and again, make sure you email me or contact me on Parent Square if you guys have any questions regarding today's assignment or yesterday's assignment or actually just any other day. Okay, thank you.